Hey guys, this is Ozzie. Welcome to my channel, Wanderlust Awe Syndrome. And if you like this channel, please hit like, subscribe, and share this video. A new series that I'm doing, I'm going to talk about what it's like to travel to war, pretty much. What it's like to go to a place that not many people get the opportunity to do. Now, I understand that everyone will have different opinions, different thoughts, different experience, but I am going to focus on my experience and my thoughts about it. Just to give you a little bit background, I did 13 years in the United States Marine Corps. I've been to Iraq 3 times. I went when the Iraqi war started in 2003. Then after going there for 3 times, I went to Afghanistan once in about 2012, 13-ish. And those were the only 2 wars I went. The first thing we're going to talk about in this series is what it's like to fly to war. For both wars, it's obvious that flying is the fastest and most effective way to get troops and supplies out to war zones. But I'm going to share my experience of what it was like for me to go out to those zones, and I'm going to cover when I went to Iraq for the very first time, when the war kicked off, and it's a very interesting experience. Now, the first thing I am going to cover is the waiting game. It's a very stressful situation when war breaks out and you're in the uniform and you've been called up to go. It's nerve-wracking, it's tense. You got family members, friends who are going to miss you, but when you go to the airport or a way station to fly out, it is a totally different situation. When I went with my unit in 2003 to go to Iraq, we flew out of the base that I was at the time, and it was a very long period. We had to wait for about a day, maybe a day and a half, and we were very tired because before then we stayed up for 3 straight days preparing and packing up everything to ship out to Iraq. So we didn't get hardly any sleep. On top of that, we were saying goodbye to our families to go out to this country that we've never been to, most of us never been to, and it was very tense. Kept asking us, what's gonna happen, what's gonna happen. The interesting thing about deploying is, even though you get very nervous when you go out to war, eventually the fatigue comes in. So when we was waiting at the airport on base, we were very tired. Most of the time, most of us just went to sleep. We didn't have any entertainment because we didn't know how long it would take for the plane to come on out and pick us up. Obviously, it took a lot of time because it had to fly, it had to make sure that everything was filled up with gas and make sure that it could accommodate with the number of people and the weights. So we had to wait for a very long time. Because of that, it was very boring. We didn't have stuff back then when the Iraq war kicked off, such as you could download shows from Netflix, or we didn't have the smartphones where you could just play on it all day. You had your DVR, your DVDs, and whatnot, and you just watch whatever. You play card games, you brought board games like chess. I brought chess. Chess was a big thing, and you just played on it until your ride came to fly out. Now the plane finally arrived for us to carry us to the Iraq war, and just getting on is crazy. Through the military, they do a certain order, you know. Usually my experience is usually the highest ranking member goes on the plane first, and then the lowest ranking is on last. And you just sit down, and keep in mind we have 100 pounds of gear on us. We're carrying our weapons on the plane. It's the only time where a gun is allowed to be on a plane. You know, you don't see that anywhere you fly, but it's the only time where a commercial airlines will allow you to carry a gun on a plane. On top of that, if you've ever loaded military gear on a plane, I'm talking about on the bottom of the plane. I remember when I had to take with other people, we had to load, like, it felt like 10,000 bags, 10,000 sea bags. And you're just loading them. You talk about a workout. I believe to this day the reason why my deadlifts are so high today is because I lifted bags that weighed somewhere between 50 to maybe 120 pounds. You're just doing that fast because you want to get on the plane as quick as possible, because you just want to sit down, go to sleep, and just enjoy the ride. I just find it very interesting that we just did that, and it was just a lot of work. I was sweating that day. I think my entire uniform was drenched from sweat, and you know, it did. And when you go out to war, you're going to be nasty. I'm going to say it flat out. You're very nasty. When you're going to war for the first time, when a war breaks out at the first stages, it's amazing how you're treated. You know, the pilots, they were cracking jokes. They were trying to get us to relax. The stewardess was even on the jokes, and it was nuts. And it was crazy what kind of food they served. It wasn't like the common stuff you get if you sit in economy. It's like they're serving burgers, like triple cheeseburgers, the fine cuisines. It was like they were serving us our last meal, but they kept serving over and over. Even when I go to sleep, they would wake us up and say, "Hey, do you want something?" And we're like, "No, we're full, we're stuffed." But it's crazy the amount of food they serve when war breaks out, when they think you might not return. That might be your last meal. Now, before we hit Iraq, my plane, my unit, we stopped at certain places. Obviously, we didn't get out and see the country to these places. The first place we stopped at was Ireland, and it was sad to say that we weren't allowed to drink any beer. I wanted to drink some Guinness, authentic Irish Guinness beer, but being that the Marine Corps is very strict and they want people to focus on the mission, we weren't allowed to drink, and so we just waited. And it was a very short stay, and we got on the plane, and then we flew out again, and then we stopped in Germany, and we got off the plane there, and we just hung out in the terminal, and we didn't really see that much. We went from Ireland to Germany, and then eventually to Switzerland, which we couldn't get off the plane, period, because there was protests at that time. And it sucked because we've been sitting on that plane for such a long time, and we just wanted to get out, get some fresh air, stretch our legs. But we had to stay on the plane because there was a big protest about the war, so we couldn't get off. And we just continued on. We landed in Kuwait, and the doors opened. And the first thing that hits you is that 120-degree dry heat. That dry heat will wake you up quick, and you'll start sweating like none other. I'm like, you're drenching a waterfall of sweat. On top of that, we had to load, so there's more staying up, not getting any sleep for the next billion years, because you gotta load, you gotta find your place, you're just moving around in a constant manner. But what I want you to take from this video, even though you're nervous and you might be scared when you go to war at first, fatigue really takes over. At the end of the day, you just want to go to sleep. You don't care about anything else at this point. You're just super tired, you know what I mean? But you have to push your body to do things because your unit and the people around you are telling you to do a job. We had to load the bags, and then we had to carry all our stuff, which is crazy because you have to search what belongs to you. It takes forever. Then you gotta get a formation, and you're standing around waiting for another billion years for someone to tell you to move 5 inches to the left.